Hey, the person watching this, hope this video finds you well. Welcome to Musical, Exploring Music with Kalyani. As you know, this channel is all about Hindustani classical music, and today we are going to discuss 5 more not so frequently asked questions about Hindustani classical music. If you haven't yet watched the first part of Not So FAQs, the link is in description and highly recommended. As an amateur audience to Hindustani classical music, you might be having a bit too many questions in your mind, and in most cases you don't even ask them out. So here is my attempt to point out such questions and not really answer but at least address them. So let's go. Question number 1. Why do I never, seldom if at all, understand the words of a classical music performance? Maybe because it doesn't make a difference. As you must be knowing by now, words or lyrics have been conventionally given a secondary position in a performance of Hindustani Khyal Sangeet. However, they do play an important role in the rendition. So the compositions or bandishes of Hindustani classical music are written in Braj or Brij Bhasha. This language is very close to Hindi and is also said to be a dialect of Hindi. Many bandishes in classical music convey a Shringarik bhav or they are devotional. However, many bandishkas of the recent times have attempted to break this stereotype and they have composed bandishes on varied topics. However, while actually performing, hardly any regard is given to the words rightly or wrongly. Some vocalists have also slammed this stereotype. But generally, the entire emphasis or the entire focus is on the rag, swar, tal and lay. Therefore, you must have observed at times in the alap portion, words of the bandish are used in any sequence depending on the comfort of the singer. Sometimes, syllables in those words are beautifully used by singers to show a tihai or to show the segments of laikari, etc. However, it is understood that words hold a secondary position here and only exist as a means of conveying the bhav through the swar. So as an amateur audience, don't bother yourself much with the words, enjoy the music. Question number 2. What do the syllables used at the time of alap mean? You know, ra, ri, na, noom, etc. Nothing. In Khyal Sangeet, these syllables don't mean anything. Yet, they are rampantly used in Khyal performances. Neither are they a part of the bandish lyrics, nor are they an integral part of the Khyal Sangeet itself. Alap in Khyal Sangeet was originally supposed to be in Akar. The origin of these syllables can be traced back to Dhrupad Sangeet. If you've just started listening Khyal, trust me, you're too young for Dhrupad, so don't go any deeper at the moment. In Dhrupad Sangeet, alaps are sung in nom-tom fashion. In this kind of alap, the syllables r and n are used to create the required sound. Now, some of the schools of Hindustani classical Khyal Sangeet have derived a lot of concepts from Dhrupad Sangeet. One such prominent school is Agra school or Agra Gharana of Hindustani classical music. So performers belonging to such gharanas use these syllables because they have been taught that way. It's a part of their talim. Others do it maybe for one of these 3 reasons. 1. Because they are inspired by Dhrupad singers. 2. Because they think it sounds better. Or 3. Just because it falls in their comfort zone. However, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the alap is sung in akar or in nom-tom fashion. What matters is how well does the alap unfold the rag. Question number 3. Is it mandatory for a Hindustani classical vocalist to learn any instrument? Well, technically, no. There are many excellent vocalists who have not received any talim for any instrument. However, knowing how the instruments function, especially the accompanying instruments, is always an advantage to the vocalist. Because then they can convey to the harmonium player or the sarangi player and the tabla player exactly what they need and what they expect at the time of accompaniment. Communication is then a lot easier. Some students of vocal music prefer to learn harmonium to understand the relative positions of swaras in a better way. In some traditions of vocal music where the style is tal pradhan, that is where the rhythmic part is predominant, students are recommended to learn tabla to understand the core concepts of rhythmic system in a better way. So as a vocalist, if you can learn an instrument, it will definitely enhance your performance because 1, it will broaden your vision, 2, it will substantially add to your repertoire, and 3, it will give you a different dimension of the same art. Interestingly enough, in some traditions, instrumentalists are given training for vocal music before they start off with their talim of the instrument. Having said that, there is one instrument that every vocalist is supposed to know how to play, and that instrument is tanpura. That also takes us to our next question. Question number 4. What is tanpura? This is tanpura. Yes, it's a tanpura. It's not a sitar, it's not a guitar, it's not a fretted veena. It's a tanpura. It's a simple non-fretted string instrument which is used as a drone while performing Hindustani classical music. This instrument has 4 strings, 3 of which are tuned to the same note. 2 are tuned to the same note in the same octave. These are called identical strings or twin strings. The rightmost string, is tuned 1 octave lower, however, to the same note. This note is the fundamental note which is called sa or shadja in Hindustani classical music. This is the note around which the entire music is then built up. This is kind of a home note. The leftmost string, that is the first string, is tuned in most of the cases to 5th or 4th note, which is also called pancham or madhyam, depending on which one of these two is more predominant in the rag which is being performed. Now, what if both these swaras are omitted or varja from the rag which is being performed? Now, such rags are extremely rare, and in that case, the first string is tuned to any other swar which is predominant in that specific rag. During the performance, tanpura works as a reference point to the performer, which constantly pours in the ear the pancham and the shadja. Mind you, vocalists are expected not only to be able to play this instrument but also tune it. Although it's not as difficult to tune as some other complex string instruments, it requires a great deal of focus and attention to tune the tanpura at the exact required note. Sometimes during the performance, the artist prefers to play the tanpura himself or herself, while sometimes they prefer to have an accompanist for playing the tanpura. No performance of Hindustani classical khyal music is complete without tanpura. Of late, artists also prefer to use the electronic machine which produces the sound of tanpura, and even some mobile applications which provide this kind of a sound. However, despite all the convenience attached to using electronic sound for tanpura, it is always a much more rewarding and satisfying experience to perform or listen a performance with live tanpura accompaniment. Final question for the day, question number 5. Is classical music always slow? Well, I don't think so. Rightly or wrongly, for some reason, this notion has been attached with classical music, that classical music is always very slow. However, that's not true. From the rhythm point of view, on the one hand, we have the tal, which is basically a rhythmic cycle with a fixed number of beats. And on the other hand, we have the laya, which is basically the tempo. The concept of lay in classical music is extremely vast and is a topic of separate academic research. Conventionally, there have been different kinds of tempos that have been practiced by performers. Generally, the performance starts in a very slow kind of a tempo, and then gradually, step by step, the tempo rises, and towards the end of the performance, the tempo is extremely high, exactly like the one that we just heard. And then as the performance ends at that extremely high tempo, the tempo suddenly drops down, the tabla stops, and the artist comes back to the fundamental sa. Now the difference between these tempos, just to give you a perspective, can be as much as the slowest tempo that I have personally heard so far is 65 to 70 seconds for one rhythmic cycle, and the fastest that I have ever heard so far is 2 seconds per rhythmic cycle. If you want me to make a video specifically on laya and tal, please let me know in the comment sections below. I would love to do that. And now, as always, if you like this video, don't forget to click the like button. Put your comments, suggestions, remarks in the comment section below. Feel free to approach me on Instagram or Facebook for anything that you would want to share with me. Links, as always, are in the description. Share this video with as many people as you can and subscribe to my channel for more such content. See you again on Saturdays. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.